Hey everyone, you are in for something very special today. I have Meg O'Donnell with me, and she is with Meg's Best Insurance. And I refer all of my clients to her because I know that she knows what she's talking about, and she is going to take care of them and give them the best advice possible. Y'all, I stay in my lane. You know that I don't want to talk to you about mortgages and I don't want to talk to you about insurance. And that is why I have the experts on my side that know what they're doing and they're not talking to you about real estate. So that's the best part of this. So Meg, transplant here from the West Coast. She moved here during COVID. She opened up her insurance company back in 2021 after working with State Farm. And the best part is now it is a family business. It says here that you have is it your sister and her husband on your team as well? Is that right?
Yep, I was able to bring my sister and my husband on with me full time a couple of years ago. It's been
Awesome.
wonderful.
Awesome. And you know what? Having that family together, my son is getting his license to take over the business with me. I love the idea of building something together. It's so fabulous.
Me too. It's just the dream. We're living the dream, Nina.
Yeah. Well, and so you were with State Farm, you were with one particular company. And so before we jump into all the questions that I have for them today, tell them what's different about Meg's Best Insurance versus just going with a State Farm and calling somebody like that directly. So they understand where we're coming from with all of the great advice that you're going to give.
Yeah. So the big difference is just going to be what type of policies and insurance carriers that somebody would have access to. When I was a State Farm agent, I represented State Farm and I only sold State Farm insurance. Now my brokerage is completely independent, so we don't have any sort of allegiance or alliance to any one particular insurance company. We actually have access to about 150 of them.
Wow, that so you can really tailor what it is that somebody needs based on their specific situation to the different companies that are out there and shop around for them.
Yeah, I love the saying, I don't fit square pegs in round holes. And having access to this many carriers makes sure that nobody has to do that just to fit in with a certain company. We have access to policies that are going to work for each individual because everybody is so unique and your house is unique and your lifestyle is unique.
Mhm.
So we're able to really tailor and help clients versus companies.
Love that because we won't get into it specifically just yet, but I need everybody to hear that I had a client that Meg was able to really navigate a kind of not like a really tricky situation, but they had poly pipes in the house and they were panicking over all these different things. And Meg was like, no, no, I got you. Here's option A and option B. And to be able to look at all of this was phenomenal rather than say, we only have this and that's the only thing. So thank you, Meg, because I know that they really appreciated your guidance on that.
Just
Yeah.
happy to.
So speaking of poly pipes, let's jump into all the questions that I get all the time. We can start with poly pipes. Why not? So for those who don't know, back in the 90s and 80, it was 80s and 90s, wasn't it, Meg?
Yeah, primarily the 80s and early 90s.
Yeah. So they stopped what, 97 was it? I
Yes,
think.
that's exactly
Okay, so in
right.
1997, they stopped using what is called polybutylene pipes. What is it? It's a form of a plastic pipe that is known over time to fail. And when you see my air quotes, if you're not watching, I want you to see my fail in that the connectors may not work as well over the years, and you will get leaks in these poly pipes. So they're affectionately known as poly pipes, not polybutylene. We can say it either way. But whatever the case may be, they can be a headache for people who have had these leaks and therefore obviously have to put in, into their insurance companies for this, or people buying, worrying like, oh my gosh, this is the worst thing that's happening in the house. Now, that was exactly what my clients faced. They were buying a home built in 92, I think it was. They did have these pipes. Some were replaced with PVC and so forth, but a good portion was still the polybutylene pipes. Meg, they see the word poly and some people run away from a house. They don't even want to go see it because they're afraid of all the problems and what it's going to cost them in insurance.
You don't have to run from a house or freak out because you have polybutylene pipes. Insurance works in the worst case scenarios and with statistics. So the idea that you're going to have problems with your pipes just because they're polybutylene doesn't really translate. The issue with insurance is because of the nature of statistics and potential issues. When houses do have polybutylene piping or poly pipes, some carriers just exclude that from their appetite, which just means what types of homes they're willing to take on. Some companies don't ask that question at all, and it can be written into your policy literature that it could either be included or excluded in the event of a claim. So it would just be something you take the risk of not being able to get insurance on, but you're able to replace the pipes yourself anytime you want. Part of home ownership, I guess.
Okay. So if I understand correctly, there are some companies don't ask, not even a problem. They will insure you.
Mhm.
There are some companies that ask and will insure your home, but exclude the poly pipes. Is that correct?
That's right. That's
So if
exactly.
you have a claim down the road or something should burst, you're not able to put a claim through your insurance on these because they were excluded.
That's correct. Yep, you'd be taking on getting that replaced yourself without insurance to help.
Yeah. So from somebody who actually had multiple leaks from actually copper pipes. Yeah, they were very, very thin copper pipes, and the sediment wore them down multiple places. So we replaced my house. But the idea being, if you are experience a leak, y'all, I get it. It's not fun to replace the pipes. And we're not saying just because you buy a house with poly pipes that you are definitely going to have to repipe the whole house. But should you do it in pieces or all at once, you will have the peace of mind that, okay, great, now I can get coverage. Is that correct? Like once they replace it.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Once it's replaced, you open up a plethora of insurability options.
Oh, that is phenomenal. I mean, again, there could be companies that won't even care. So you might be able to offer that to the buyers. But if they choose to go with a company that excludes it, they have to understand the provisions around that and what it's going to mean.
Exactly. And we'll go over that in detail before we sign up for any policy. We're going to let you
Hmm.
know everything that's excluded or included because every company is going to be a little bit different than the next.
Oh, yeah. Well, so then the next thing that they always freak out about, Lord, in North Carolina right now, everybody's all up in arms over the roof.
That's the call I probably get the most
Uh,
pushback on. I live in the real world just like you do. And
mhm,
with technology and the way that they manufacture roofs now, we know that they can be good and functional for a long time 30, 40 years sometimes.
mhm.
However, with insurance being the statistical nature that it is, as roofs get older, granulation loss, hail damage, just wear and tear, insurance companies have gotten really crazy strict about the age of the roof, regardless of condition. And it's not to say that you might not be grandfathered in if you have an existing policy and the roof ages, but when you're a buyer buying a new house, that's something that they are definitely going to drill down on.
So is it really like, hey, 10 years or less, you're insurable, and anything over 10 years, that's like the magic number we in the real estate world keep hearing is that, oh, if the roof is older than 10 years, it may not that it definitely isn't, but it may not be insurable. Is that true?
I would say half of the companies that I work with for a standard home insurance policy are going to just not even qualify a house when the roof hits year 11. That's correct.
Dang.
I know.
Even if it's a 30-year warrantyable roof, for example.
Now, if we're talking like architectural shingles or three tab, yes, a metal roof, clay roofs, those have slightly different guidelines. But on a standard roof, like we see most of the time here in the
Wow.
triangle, it's architectural shingle. And 10 years is that magic number. Once you start getting into year 11 and so on, you start finding new exclusions with the policies you are able to get.
Man, that hurts just hearing that for the buyers that are out there. You're looking at something that's 11 or 12 years old and they're thinking, "Hey, this is great. The roof's only 12 years old." And then they get to insurance and they're like, "What? Are you kidding me?" And one of the things I do when at all of my listings is if the year roof is under 10 years old, I'm plastering little notes all over the house. Did you know the roof is under 10 years old? And they may not understand it when they're walking through, but they will when they come to talk to their insurance carrier.
I'm so glad you do that. It's a big, big help for even me as an insurance agent when it's on, the MLS listings and all of that. It helps me just kind of be more proactive with our
Hmm.
clients.
Oh, yeah. Honestly, I would say, I mean, when I go out and I show houses, I'm already showing what the difference is between an architectural shingle versus those flat ones, right? So we're talking about what's a better versus not. But if the roof is over 10 years, I mean, do they also companies have the exclusion policy like we'll insure your house, but not the roof situation?
Yep, I've seen that. There are several carriers that will give you something called ACV coverage. That stands for actual cash value. And what that means is just that they're not going to give you the full dollar amount to replace the roof. If, let's say a hurricane comes through and causes damage, they're just going to give you a dollar amount based on depreciation. So you
Mm.
can still get some level of insurance, but it may not do for you what you were hoping it would.
Oh, I know. Well, so maybe gone are the days of these roofing companies going around a neighborhood and drawing circles on the roof like you have all this hail damage and trying to get money from the insurance companies. If you just moved in that house and, you didn't even, you weren't planning on replacing the roof anytime soon. And then this happens, it's like,
That's
yikes.
actually the reason that all of this started is that happened in such an abundance for so long. The door-to-door roofers, hey, we can get your insurance to buy you a new roof, that it became a nationwide issue.
Oh, I don't doubt it. I mean, I remember them going through my own neighborhood and just knocking on all the doors out there with their chalk and then coming back out here and meeting the insurance person, the assessor, to say whether or not it was actually valid and what to do. I mean, it
Yeah.
was quite the heyday and definitely during COVID for real.
Oh yeah. I love when they come to my door. It's a great conversation.
Yeah, at the end, I'm going to link all of your socials so people can follow you and your website, but you have to watch her TikToks. They are hysterical. She is just to the point on the things that you need to know, the things that she hears, the reality check when it comes to insurance. I love them. I'm like, oh yes, that is on point. Yes, for sure. So, what about, so we're talking about the roof. The other thing that's related to water, we'll say. What about flood insurance?
That is the hottest topic, honestly. Right now, there are so many guideline changes. It is always regulated by FEMA. So when you're dealing with anything with the government, everything is based on what they're doing at that time.
Hmm.
Um, After the devastation we saw with Hurricane Helene, I think a lot of people are realizing now that you don't necessarily have to be on the beach or on the river to need flood insurance.
Hmm. So, can people who are not in a flood zone get flood insurance?
Absolutely. Yep, you sure can. And for a lot cheaper too, usually.
Okay, so if you're not in a flood zone and you go to get flood insurance, it won't cost as much as than if you were in a flood zone.
Absolutely. When you have a lower risk and you're not in a rated flood zone, you're really just buying the just in case insurance. And that's going to
Hmm.
be a lot more affordable.
I bet you all those people out in even Chapel Hill when we had that one big storm come through were wishing that they had something out there.
Yes, the Eno River flood, that was another big one recently that was pretty devastating. When you're in an area that doesn't typically have any floods, a lot of people are not thinking about getting
Mm-hmm.
flood insurance, but you can always check what rating you are, whether you're in a higher risk, a medium risk, or a lower risk,
Mm-hmm.
based on the FRIS map, the FRIS. You can look that up
Yes.
and find out where your house falls in that.
Yeah, I love that your puppies, mine are right by my feet right here, worried about
Oh,
the storm. Is yours worried as well?
yeah, he is. He's a little bit clingy. They're rescues, so he likes to be by my side all the
Mine are
time.
right here. Mhm. And the rain just started. So, with flood insurance, I have some people who are like, oh, we looked at, and I'm glad you said which website to go to. Everybody, I have videos on this. Go to fris.nc.gov. Go to that website. Do not tell me that you checked Zillow and that Zillow rated it whatever for flood. no, 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 we're going with whatever this map tells us. Go in, plug your address in, and then you can see it. In fact, I want y'all who are watching this to know you can then even zoom out so that you can see where the nearest flood zones are around you. More than likely, they're just rivers and creeks and different things in the area or a lake or whatever the case may be. But the other place that people kind of get very nervous, if the back of the yard is in a level one, let's say, flood zone, right? Not like a high risk, it's very low risk, but their back of their yard is, but their house is not. They worry right away whether or not they should get flood insurance. And what do you tell them?
Typically, if you have a mortgage on your house, the mortgage company is going to call me and tell me to get you some flood insurance anyway. Flood zones and maps are constantly changing and
Yes.
updating from year to year. So I advise if you have any sort of part of your property that is in a flood zone, you should get some flood insurance for your house. You
Mhm.
never know. It's way, way better to have it than to find out you needed it.
One of the things that just happened for one of my clients is that uh, as buyers, you have to understand you will need a flood elevation survey and certificate. Okay. So I say this because you're hoping, because it costs money, that the sellers have this already and will pass it on to you. But I want to be very clear, either because the flood zones have changed over time, right? It wasn't, now it is, or whatever the case may be. The seller may not have that flood elevation certificate, or it's been so long, they don't even know where this thing is. So I know that some insurance companies, if they may have that on hand. Is that correct, Meg?
Yeah. Yeah. Some of these private flood companies that I work with, we can even generate one for you.
Okay. So it's just understand, buyers. Just because you're getting this and you're thinking the seller has flood insurance, I should get it from the seller. Please understand that's not always the case, and that you may have to put some money forward in order for this to happen. Okay, so I just need to clear that up because it was quite the headache for my poor buyers. And I felt so bad for them because they were buying from a flipper and there were all these things and it just didn't work out. So I mean, flood is, I think, a really hot topic. And I think when the other thing, we're talking about our pets right now, I have so many people asking me, especially in HOA areas, what insurance will be with having certain breeds of dogs. And does that really come into play with homeowners insurance?
Every single time I rescue pit bulls. I've got two at home right now, and I had to be, fully aware of the fact that my homeowner's insurance will not provide me any kind of coverage if something happened. Now, my babies are the sweetest, and we do actually put them up in their own bedroom when we have company, because the fact is, we don't have insurance coverage for that. But yep, there is a list of dog breeds that are typically excluded. Some companies, they don't ask, but you will find that in your policy literature. The other thing is, Raleigh is, I guess, the best city in the country for chickens. That's what I found out when we moved here. So that's another pretty common one. Some companies are not going to extend you coverage if you have chickens on the property.
Like when you say not extend coverage at all for the house?
That's right. They don't want to
Woo.
take on the risk of anybody that has chickens in the yard. And you may not know that because you might have gotten the chickens after you moved in, but now they're flying drones over people's houses. And that's
Oh
how they're
my God.
finding out that you've got chicken coop in the yard.
Oh my gosh, Meg, that's crazy.
Oh, drives me nuts because who doesn't want fresh eggs?
I mean, listen, I know tons of people who are purposely buying in no HOA areas so that the homeowner's insurance can't stop them from having chickens. But I never a day in my life had thought about the fact that chickens would prevent you from even getting homeowner's insurance. That's an interesting one.
It was new to me when I moved here and saw how many people have chickens in Raleigh.
Yeah, I mean, that's a wild one. I
Mhm.
mean, with the dog breeds though, does it prevent you from having insurance or there are just some exclusions and that sort of thing?
It's going to be carrier specific, but I would say more than half of the time, it's like maybe even 90% of the time, it's just going to be an exclusion for that dog specifically. So if there is a dog bite that happens, that's typically what they're excluding coverage from. So anything
Mhm.
else in your house or with your homeowner's insurance policy would stay standard.
So interesting. Yeah, I mean, I know that these the people who want the chickens are going to have the chickens, and they'll probably, like you said, they're going to sneak them onto the property after the fact. And then, Lord, if that drone flies over there, they're going to be in trouble.
Well, you can talk to your insurance agent about it. I have clients that call me and tell me up to date time frames of when they're wanting to do changes to their house or their lifestyle. Like I said, I rescue pit bulls, so I have a little bit of a bleeding heart when it comes to animals, and especially those dog breeds that kind of get a bad reputation. There are insurance companies that will not give you a problem about it. We just have to know so we can find you something that's going to fit. Again, kind of the whole no, squares or no fitting square pegs in round holes.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, this is better than a dating profile, right? Like you're sitting there and you're like, tell me this about you, tell me that about you, tell me what are your future plans? Like what's your 10-year plan? If your 10-year plan is it to include chickens, we need to talk, honey. So,
Yeah.
but you did bring up a good point, which is changes to houses, right? So when should sell or homeowners notify you that they are making changes? Like what type of changes are important to homeowners insurance?
I mean, we want to know about any kind of like structural updates. If you're adding decks or porches, if you're adding any kind of square footage, maybe refinishing an attic or a basement, those are really important details for us to know. We don't really need to know if you've, replaced, the kitchen cabinets. We're going to assume that you've got kitchen cabinets in your kitchen if you paint a wall. But the big thing is home maintenance. The things that you do to take care of your home and keep it in good shape, let your insurance agent know that you're doing that. So that
Like
way the
HVAC
insurance,
systems?
yeah, let me know when you get that replaced because it could give you discounts, first of all, if that who doesn't want to save a little
Right.
money. But if something does happen to your home, we want to make sure that the insurance company is going to compensate you properly.
I think this is something I'm going to now make sure all of my clients understand. HVAC updates, changes should be reported to your homeowner's insurance for a potential. I mean, why not try to get a little bit of a discount? Considering that rates continue to go up and up, it's really important to at least try and get a little bit there.
Who doesn't want to save money? It's
Yeah.
2026.
Yeah, exactly. That definitely not one that I knew about. I would think for sure the roof, but I never even thought about the idea of the maintenance of those systems. That's pretty interesting. What other red flags will insurance companies kind of be alerted to, be concerned about that I'm just not even thinking about right now? I haven't brought up.
Yeah, if your home is older, we have to take into consideration that a lot of the systems that were put in place into older homes may still be great and functional, right? We all kind of know that older homes have great bones, but sometimes it has old electrical panels that we know now are not as great as they should be. Federal Pacific is one that, very commonly gets, shut down when the insurance company finds out, and that's a really big one. The way that homes were built again are really, they were just a little bit outdated, and now with the
Mhm.
new codes that we have, that can be a big red flag for insurance companies.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, luckily, I knew enough about, asking you about the roof and everything else, but having an idea of what these other red flags can be, I think it's really important for every buyer to disclose as much. Or for you, I know you'll ask me sometimes, hey, Nina, something about a house or whatever, and I'm going to be looking to that listing agent. But you know, as I know, sellers don't have to put anything on those disclosures. And if you, buyer, are out there getting a house from somebody who inherited it from their family member and they've never lived in the house, they can't answer the questions, or this was a landlord and they really don't know all of the answers to the questions, it's a little hard for then the insurance side to give you an accurate quote and have all of the information ready for you. Wouldn't you say, Meg? Like that's a little frustrating for you, I'm sure.
It can be, especially because when you get a home inspection, it gives you a lot of really valuable information. But the insurance company is going to conduct an inspection after you close all over again. And that's when they're looking for those red flags, like a crack in the sidewalk that could, cause the Amazon delivery driver to trip, or a hole in the fence, maybe not fenced around your pool. Those are the kind of things that they're going to be looking for that would be big red flags. And nobody wants to deal with getting that letter from the insurance company that they're not going to be able to continue coverage right after they move into their new house. That is so frustrating. So the nosier I get, I promise I have a good reason for it.
Yeah, well, you just said about the crack. How many times have I sold a house where the driveway has some major cracking going on because of roots from a nearby tree? And it sounds like that itself could potentially affect their homeowner's insurance.
Yeah, it really can. I live in an older subdivision myself, and we have these big trees that have grown roots all under the sidewalks, and they are lifting and leveling. Our HOA takes pretty good care of them, so we've been able to maintain our, community's insurance and our home insurance. But if you have big cracks in your sidewalk or loose handrails, those are some of the first things the inspector is going to run into when they show up to your house to do that inspection.
I mean, and I know so many of my buyers, we go in before we even put in an offer, and I'm doing the Nina inspection to protect the due diligence before we even put the offer in, right? So I'm one of those people who's going into the crawl space, I'm going up in the attic, I'm doing all the things. I mean, I'm in there. Even if I'm dressed nice, I'm
Amazing.
still getting in there, Meg. However, there's things that I don't always see. For example, one of the houses, my clients, I went as far into the crawl as I could, didn't see that there was actually on the inspection report, it showed further, way further in, there had been a leak from something else that caused some major damage to a floor joist. And that would need to be repaired. And I thought to myself, that's not anything I could have seen. And that's only certain things that get uncovered along the way. And I'm wondering if it did affect their homeowner's insurance. Like, hey, let me know when you get this fixed because,
Yeah.
this is something that is a structural issue to your home and we need to have it fixed before we can give you full insurance, which mortgage companies aren't even going to give you your loan until you're insurable.
That's right. Yeah, insurance, it's not going to cover anything that's already damaged or broken, right? If
Right.
it's not in a replacement state, you know, it's not really going to work out for you insurance wise. That doesn't mean you can't get those sort of exclusions written into a policy. But typically, yeah, if you can get the seller to fix that stuff up, or if you can fix it up before you put your house on the market, I think it would save your buyers a lot of time, probably open up a good market. I would assume makes insurance a lot easier.
So, what are three tips that you would give to buyers right now, or even homeowners who are either looking to sell or they're existing in their home to help them with the insurance? Like, what are some tips that are really just something you wish everybody would know and would be good for them?
Ooh, that's a really good question. Try to not have an old roof. That would be first. That's always helpful. Um, you can always call your agent and ask them to run a clue report on the property ahead of time. Little known fact, if you're buying a house that the previous owner had filed a lot of claims on, that is another red flag to the insurance company. So having that sort of knowledge in your back pocket would be a really big help. So I would say definitely let your agent know about properties that you're interested in ahead of time. And making sure that the property is safe. Liability claims are the ones that get very out of hand compared to, maybe a kitchen fire. We know we can put a dollar amount on a kitchen fire. We can't put a dollar amount so much on somebody's life, livelihood, and well-being. So just making sure your house is as safe as it can possibly be will be another great way to avoid any insurance issues.
I think the one that you said about running that clue report is really important because you can, like you said, uncover what's been happening. Why are there so many claims on this property? And doing that before, well, if you have time, before you go under contract and put that due diligence down. And will this house even be insurable? And so to understand then somebody's previous claims could raise enough red flags that your insurance is going to be high as the incoming homeowner, correct?
That's correct. Yep, I have seen it be an issue where somebody might have 3 or 4 home insurance claims in the last 5 years on a house. It goes up for sale, and the person trying to buy it can't get insurance on it because the insurance company already knows this house seems really susceptible to having issues. If they've been remedied, try to get documentation on that. That can really help smooth that process out too.
But it could still increase their premiums.
It'll definitely increase the premiums. The
Woo.
insurance is going to be priced accordingly, I guess is the way to put it. The higher the risk, the higher the rate.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, one of the reasons everybody who's watching this that I refer my clients to Meg is because you hear this, she knows her stuff. She's not just representing one company. She has, did you say 150?
It's a little more than that now. It's kind of hard to keep track. We've
Lord,
worked with a lot of them. Yeah.
150 options for her to shop through to get you the best insurance that's going to match not just price. I want you to understand this is not just a price thing. Yes, of course, we are all wanting to be cognizant of pricing. But what we're saying is there could be issues on the house existing as it is that could either prevent you from getting insurance or will be excluded. And if Meg can shop around and figure out for you what actually matches that house, that's going to be more important than just the bottom dollar. So getting you insurance, y'all, that is so super important. Not always how much does it cost. And remember, the mortgage company is going, if you have a mortgage company, require that you have homeowners insurance.
Yeah.
So
They
that's going to
need
be
a
important.
replacement. They need a replacement cost policy. And the price is important. We want to make sure we stay in budget, right? But there are things that we can do to policies to help reduce premiums to fit into the budget. There's a saying in the industry, you can have one of two things. You can have an insurance policy or you can have a piece of paper that says you have insurance. I only sell the first one.
That's smart. Very, very smart because I don't just want a piece of paper and I want to know all the little nuances. And now you've educated me so much so about all these different things. I feel better when I talk to my clients, when I say to them, call Meg and ask her this. I'll have even more, ammunition behind that to say, ask her these questions. I watch this video and then go ask her these questions now that we have this together.
Oh,
So,
I love helping you and all of your clients. They're the best. You've
yeah.
got great people that you work with.
Well, what people understand is that I educate them a lot, right? And that's why I trust you because you are high on the education. You know, you do everything online with all of your platforms to educate people. So you're not just blowing fluff at them. You're not just trying to win their business. You're being very real. And I appreciate that so much. So thank you very much.
Thank you. I appreciate you and everything you do for us out there too.
So I will connect all of Meg's information in the description. So you'll have her website, her socials, all the ways to get in touch with her. If you have any questions, make sure you put them in the comments. Share this with anybody who's just a current homeowner having issues with their home insurance, want to shop policies. Meg will assist you with that. If you are a home buyer, you had a ton of tips in there to help you understand your new avenue when it comes to homeowners insurance and sellers. You heard what she's saying. So you have to be aware that these issues could affect buyers coming into your home and affect whether or not they're even able to place offers on your home. It's a big thing. So, all right. So thanks to you so much, Meg, and everybody. I look forward to seeing you in the next video.
Thanks.